I have watched 0 films and TV shows this month. April Fool! It's another month. Let's just go. So the first thing I watched last month was Mission Impossible. The new Mission Impossible film, Dead Reckoning I think it's called. It's coming out this year, so I wanted to watch all of the Mission Impossible series. I heard this film was just an action classic and it was on Paramount Plus, so I wanted to watch that. It's not as action-packed and fun as I was expecting it to be. I like Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt and all the betrayals he gets throughout this film, but the amount of betrayals and investigations and everything just confused me. And by the end, I just really knew that Ethan was the good guy. It just confused my little brain, bro. The action scenes really do stand out in this film though, and they just are really iconic, especially the vault scene where everything is like silent. It really built tension during that scene, and it just goes to show how good the direction can be when it's the right scene. The dialogue scenes, however, just drug so much and just destroyed the pacing for me. There are a lot of goofy moments in this film that I enjoyed, like the restaurant scene with the exploding fish tank or the helicopter that can somehow fit into a train tunnel, but I found it to be a very good kind of goofy and it really just redeemed the film in my eyes. I'd give it a 7. And then I watched South Park Bigger, Longer and Uncut. I'm still watching South Park. I'll go over that at the end of the video, but during season 3 of watching the show I decided to watch this film and I really just enjoyed it. I love how this film is a musical and how over the top and funny the musical numbers really are. The plot lines also work really well for a feature-length film, and I think everything just converges to an epic and great ending. The humour is also great as always, and it just translates to a feature-length format really well. I'd give it a 9. And then I finally finished watching The Last of Us, and I really loved it. Like I said in my previous end of month videos, I have not played the game, so I kind of felt a sense of excitement to check a new episode out every month, not knowing what's going to happen next. I have heard reviews from people who have played the game saying that it is kind of a rehash, but a lot of people have also said it really improves on the game. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey just have the best chemistry in this show, and the acting range is really shown in this season, especially Bella, who does some just top tier acting in the penultimate episodes. Supporting characters that show up are really great as well, and I like how it focuses like less on the infected in the apocalypse but more on the humans and how they deal with the apocalypse. I just find it very interesting, although maybe I did kind of want to see just a tiny bit more infected. All around, I think everything was well paced and it came to a really great finale. I'm really excited for what they do in the next season, as they are adapting the second game I think, which is very controversial. I did find out what happened in part 2. I did spoil it for myself, so yeah, I do know what happens, but maybe they'll take a different direction. I give this a 9 though. Very solid season. And then I watched Cocaine Bear. This looked like such a fun film when it came out, so I just had to watch it. The concept of this film is just really great, and I like how it's like loosely based on a true story, which is very interesting. Going in, I thought this film was going to focus on like the bear more than the human characters, but it turns out it's vice versa, which I didn't like at first, but then I started to warm up to all these different characters and all their motives around this Cocaine Bear. This film was just so over the top and funny as well. When I watched reviews of this film, everyone was talking about the ambulance scene and it did not disappoint. The humour is great, and a bear was on cocaine, so I'm not really complaining when it comes to this film. I'd give it an 8. And then I watched The Whale. This won Best Actor Award at the Oscars, so I had to see what Brendan Fraser was like in this film because I'm a big fan of Brendan Fraser, and he was really amazing in this film. I think the story being told here was really great and has lots of interesting depth to it. Sadie Sink as the daughter was really well acted as well, and I like how weird and angry she always was, and she provided some nice like little moments of comic relief here and there for a film as serious as this one. I do think the film got way too melodramatic at points, and a little bit like a soap opera. I know it was based on a play, but some bits just did not translate well to the big screen, especially the final scene, which had just so much weight and emotion to it, but also was just so rushed and unrealistic compared to the rest of the film. All around though, it had a good pace for the most part, and the performances were great, especially from morbidly obese Brendan Fraser. I'm sorry. I'd give it an 8.5. And then I finished off the month by watching Mission Impossible 2. I was debating to actually skip this film in the franchise altogether because I've heard not very good things about it, but I decided to strap myself in, going with an open mind, and I actually found myself having a lot of fun with it. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty bad film. The editing is choppy and nauseating at points. The transitions have not aged well, and I just feel like everything in this film is just trying too hard. The action scenes I feel like are just trying to one-up the first film, but they fail miserably as they go way too over the top and cartoonish.
What the hell?
But I did find the story of this film more interesting than the first. I like the aspect of this disease created and people using it to their advantage. I thought it'd be worth mentioning as well that John Woo directed this, who also directed my favourite 90s film, Face Off. But that I felt like they lent into the goofiness and absurdity of that film. Whereas this film, I feel like Woo's trying to make all these serious moments, but they just come across as extremely cheesy and poorly aged. This film actually surprised me with how good the pace was compared to the first. And Tom Cruise was pretty good as the lead role once again. It's just a very entertaining watch. Definitely not a good film, but a guilty pleasure for me. I give it a 6. So that's all the films I've watched in March. Definitely not a lot. I was preoccupied on exams and stuff. I had my mock exams, I have my final exams coming up soon, but I've also been watching a lot of South Park. This is literally all I've been watching recently. I'm on season 6 so far, and I just found this show to be just progressively more enjoyable. I'm excited for where it goes. It's just very enjoyable, very funny, very clever. Yeah. I also forgot to mention that I'm still watching The Mandalorian. I'm on episode 3, 4, I think. I'm not finding it as good as the past 2 seasons, but it is still very engaging. I'm excited at what happens next. So I enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. If you didn't, please leave a dislike, and I'll see you in the next video.